As the first half of the tournament comes to a close, we've had some crazy drivers and even crazier events. Hey everyone, welcome to day number 4. Our first roster is Corvette, Solar, Pontiac GTO, and that says Batman, but that looks like another Superman vehicle. That could be a typo. We'll have to see as the races progress and whether or not they correct that. Right now though, we've seen that car, as we see right now, get an early boost of speed. The trick, though, is what happens as it gets closer to the end. Because those cars, whilst they stay strong at first, sometimes they kind of swerve or go sideways, as they're doing right now. If they can maintain better control, then they'll do better in the tournaments. But sometimes they actually slow down to the point where everybody passes them, which can be extremely dangerous, especially later on in the tournament. And they finish with a 14.07. That's not too good, because usually in these races, anything below 13.5 is a lot more promising. Anything higher than that, and that could be trouble later on, especially if that's a consistent time for the racers. As we begin race number 2, though, Superman is out in front, and yes, they did correct that. The question really is whether or not they can hold on to it. Going into that wide turn, though, they did lose some speed, and now the Solar is out in front of them. They did spin out a little bit, but they managed to correct themselves and make Superman lose some momentum. And now it's the Solar that finishes in first, whereas the Superman finishes in second. Can the Solar keep that up? We'll have to see. They did finish with a 14.6 though, which is not very promising, especially when you go up against the Superman vehicle, which has been usually a constant threat. Going into race number 3 now, that last one was something the Solar desperately needed, because they only finished in third the first time, but that first place finish puts them in second overall right now, thus putting them in the hot seat to move on alongside currently Superman. Again, I'm not sure how Superman would be able to drive 2 separate vehicles if this one made it to the grand finals, but I guess we'll cross that bridge if and or when we get to it. They do finish in first again, with the Solar finishing in second here. And the Pontiac once again finishes in last. I don't think they'll be moving on at this point. But there was a better race time overall with a 14.16. Right now, I think the fastest time we've had was a 12.79. Feel free to quote me on that if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So these vehicles will definitely have their work cut out for them. And right now it's looking like it'll be the Superman and the Solar moving on, but we've seen some surprising twists happen at various points in the races. So don't hold your breath just yet. Especially when you consider that the Corvette is right behind the other two. But as I say that, they go on that wide turn and lose so much of their speed. That just seems to be a common thing that happens. Superman successfully passes the Solar, finishing in first again with a 13.76. Slightly better, still not great. But definitely anything below 14 seconds gives a little bit of a sigh of relief, really. But it looks like the Superman and the Solar will be moving on. The Pontiac, while consistent, finished in last every time, so they will be out. So with all that said, let's meet our second group of racers. We have the Corvette Power Pistons, someone simply titled Funny Car, and Darth Vader is here with us now. We've seen quite a few DC and Marvel vehicles already, but now Darth Vader is here. I'm sure Darth Vader will be a good racer. We have seen him in the Star Wars universe piloting a few vehicles before, but most, if not all of them, were airborne, so we'll see how he handles a vehicle that's on the ground. Right now he does have a decent sized lead, and he holds onto it, finishing in first with a 13.74. Again, still not perfect, but anything below 14 seconds gives you a little bit more of a promising future in later races. And that puts him on the top, and if he can remain consistent, he will be a nasty threat. Makes sense given he's one of the biggest threats to the galaxy we've ever seen. Race number 2 now. He is a little bit behind the funny car, but he does have the tight turn here, so hopefully that'll help, and it does. But now he has the biggest turn. Is that going to make a difference? It certainly does, as the funny car is staying out in front. But Darth Vader and the Corvette are right on his tail, trying to make something happen. We have a bit of a traffic jam going into this final turn. All 4 vehicles are piled up on top of each other, and the funny car actually gets pushed up against the wall and is unable to finish. I don't know about any of you, but that may be one of the messiest finishes I've ever seen. I've definitely seen some strange ones, some unexpected ones, but that was just a mess. All 4 vehicles piled up on top of each other, and one of them just ends up not finishing. That certainly will help Darth Vader though, because he finished in second, allowing him to stay in contention to move on to the finals. So going into this 3rd race now, Darth Vader and Corvette are tied for first. Power Pistons is trying to stay with them, but with only 4 points, that could be difficult to do. This 3rd race is often what sways the odds in some other car's favor, and with 2 of them tied for first, that makes it a little bit easier for them, giving them some breathing room. Darth Vader is once again out in front. The funny car spins around, and the Corvette tries to get in front of him. I don't think he did, but they're constantly pushing against each other here, and the funny car kind of redeems himself by finishing in second, while Darth Vader finishes with a solid 13.39. 13.5 seconds or below is very good. But with the Corvette finishing in 3rd, that makes it a little easier for Darth Vader as they go into this final race. So off we go. The Corvette is still, I think, the most likely to move on with Darth Vader, and Darth Vader's all but guaranteed his moving on to the finals today. And he does have a tighter turn than the other 2, and that really helps him as he launches forward while the other 3 are relatively staying close to each other. But as I say that, Darth Vader loses so much speed, the funny car passes him, and Darth Vader skids to a stop almost, but thanks to the Power Pistons, he actually does finish in second still. Meanwhile, the Corvette finishes in last. Does that actually knock him out of the running? I'll have to see when the score pops up. No, he still managed to move on. Valiant effort by the funny car, but it was not enough. Now, we move on to the finals. So I would say the 2 racers you want to watch out for are, once again, go figure, representing Star Wars and DC respectively. Superman, in terms of speed, has been overall pretty consistent. It's just that they sometimes struggle when they get to the end of the track. Darth Vader, for the most part, is a little bit more steady when it comes to those stretches. If he can hold on to a lead, that'll be good for him. Right now, he's in first, and Superman is actually in the back of the pack. Darth Vader finishes in first with a 13.4. That's once again really good. And somehow, Superman, of all people, is finishing in last, and there wasn't really anyone pushing him around or anything. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he will definitely need to step up his game if he wants to stop Vader. If anyone can beat Superman, it's probably going to be Darth Vader, especially with that race that we just saw. At the beginning of this 2nd race, though, they're all staying relatively close together. That one turn did separate them a bit. And Darth Vader's trying to get the lead back. He does. And now Superman is actually in second, trying to catch up. I don't know if he'll be able to. Going into the final stretch, Darth Vader did lose a bit of speed. There's a bit of a traffic jam. And that just ended pretty badly for the Solaire. Not just the fact that he finished in last place, but he just flipped upside down. And that was a bit of a messy one, but Darth Vader does win again. So we have 2 more races left. If Darth Vader, though, can finish in first one more time, he will guarantee he is moving on to the grand finals amongst the top 8 and finishing off the first half of that roster. And so far he's able to do that. That wide turn does slow him down a bit, allowing Soul Air to take the lead. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on with Superman, because he's usually pretty consistent in terms of speed, but lately he's been pretty slow. The Soul Air finishes in first, Darth Vader finishes in second, and the Superman kind of popped off the track a little bit. Not sure what caused that to happen. And he actually finished in last because of it. Now, as we go into this last race here, Darth Vader is pretty much guaranteed to move on, but the Soul Air does have an outside chance. It's very slim though, because Darth Vader has 13, whereas the Soul Air has 9. So he will definitely need to finish in a good position, but it looked like he actually kind of derailed a little bit during that turn, and he lost so much of his speed that now he's in the back of the pack, whereas Darth Vader is coming up, finishes in first, and Darth Vader will be moving on, joining the roster of the top 8 racers in the tournament, alongside one of the TIE Fighters and Superman, who already finished in first in the first day, and the Dodge, who currently holds the fastest time. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.